this morning we're joined virtually by Folusho Olapo, who's a legal practitioner, to dissect and take a look at some of these headlines on the national dailies. Good morning, Folusho Olapo. Thank you for joining us on the newspaper review today.
Good morning, Amazons. It's a pleasure being with you early this morning.
Thank
At
you.
least in the in the midst of two beautiful ladies, my day is complete.
We are
Good morning this
flattered.
morning.
We are really flattered. Thank you for the
Good
nice
morning.
comment. Thank you for the compliment.
Yes,
But
thank you very much, and
yeah,
good morning, Nigerians.
good morning. Let's delve straight into the business of the day. I want to start off this conversation this morning with the health sector. We know that the health sector has been taking a nosedive in recent times. Even if we say we want to start off with the migration of health workers, the Jackpot syndrome. And just yesterday, we got an update, and there's a follow up this morning on the Punch newspaper how the federal government unveils plans to bring back 12,400 Jackpot doctors, just as President Tinubu, yesterday approved the national policy on health workforce migration to address the continued exodus of Nigerian doctors abroad. Looking at our current, the state of the health sector in Nigeria, we've seen doctors complain about poor remuneration, facilities not functioning, poor infrastructure, owing them salaries, amongst a number of other things. Now, seeing this national policy on health workforce migration, I'd like to get your perspective on this whole concept and how feasible it would be to migrate over 12,000 doctors back into the country, considering the lapses in our own health sector.
Yes, thank you very much. The policy gladdens my heart. Fortunately, I was able to see the Honorable Minister and Coordinator of Health and Social Services here in Nigeria, Dr. Pate, Professor Pate, even on telly, trying to explain this thing. And in fact, for the first time, I think we might have a road that may lead to somewhere, unlike what we usually have all these ramshackle type of policies. But it seems this one has been really planned, and according to him, because even consultants were involved in the planning. So the only thing is maybe probably the bureaucracy. If Nigerian politicians will allow it to work, that's only my fear. Because whatever the politicians touch in Nigeria, we all know the answer to the result of that.
You know, that's
But
quite,
I hope and I hope.
yeah, that's quite a big statement, if the Nigerian politicians will let it work. Break that down to us. Let us understand what you mean by whatever the Nigerian politician touches, if they'll make that work, bureaucracy in this regard, so that we understand you clearly.
Okay, we all understand that when it comes to the bureaucracy or the politicians, if it's not, if they are not going to gain anything from it, they might not even touch it with long pole. And this, I don't think directly, because they have the money, of course. Even if they have a headache, they can travel abroad to treat it. But it is the commoners. This policy is supposed to uh, be a very good one, at least wherein the commoners will be able to access health delivery in Nigeria.
Right.
Today, excuse me, please. Today, in for example, UCH, the University College Ibadan, Hospital Ibadan, if you go there for an appointment, several of my friends has been on appointments since last year that they gave this year. So they don't wanted to just see the doctor, but they have to give them a date for this year since last year.
Wow.
And since the jackpot syndrome has started, that is it. But if this policy is made to work, why I like the policy is this: it is all encompassing. It is not about um, remuneration alone. It is all encompassing. It accepted the fact that mobility of labor is a right. Nobody can force you to stay in a place where you do not want to stay to work. And it is an international rule of law that labor should be able to be mobile. And when your labor is in high demand, you would like to go to a place where you earn better. So
Exactly.
it is about demand and supply.
Right. Folusho Olapo, let me interrupt you for a bit. Earlier you said that if our politicians even have a headache, they can fly
Mm,
out of the country to treat it. Why are we not
of
paying
course.
attention to putting in certain laws that restrict these our politicians or those at the helm of affairs from leaving our country to access health care in other climes? I recall during the last administration of President Bola Ahmed, I beg your pardon, President Muhammadu Buhari, I lost track of the number of times he was out of the country for medical leave, medical treatment.
Of course.
So why
Of
can't
course.
we walk around a system where those at the helm of affairs have to make use of our own services here rather than having to fly out at the slightest opportunity? I'll take you up on that. And two questions in one. Secondly, are we not also looking at the possibility of an infringement of the rights of these doctors if they have a decision to leave, if they want to leave, and then you want to bring them back?
Mm.
Aren't we looking at an infringement of their human rights as well? Just two questions for you. Are you there, Folusho Olapo? All right, I think we have a bit of a network glitch, but we'll definitely have him back. Because I know that there have been talks about restricting our leaders to these climes in terms of health and education. Most of them, their children don't even school in Nigeria.
They don't. They don't. And then you see the clinic at the presidential villa. Oh my gosh. Every administration comes and millions, billions sunk in there. And then you still have these leaders travel out of the country. But you see, I'm very curious. I am actually waiting to see how Folusho is going to, answer your questions when he comes back eventually. Now, okay, he's back. Let's find out. Folusho, you're back. It's so good to have you back. Now, would you want to respond to what Sarah asked earlier on?
Yes, just briefly. Then secondly, about mobility of labor. Like I said earlier, this policy acknowledged that. And it is the decision of the doctors or health workers or the group of people that works in the health sector that wanted to come back that will come back. It's not that they are going to force them to come back, but they are going to make Nigeria possible for them to work. Like you said, the facilities, the instruments needed, the place of work and everything will be so good for them that they will be tempted to leave where they are then and come back to Nigeria. I think that is what the minister said.
Right. But you've not answered my second question about why we're not looking at a way that politicians, our leaders,
Yes,
have to use our
yes,
own
I was
facilities.
on that before. Yes, I was on that before. I think network or I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, um, like I said, it's the politicians that's going to do the law. It is not the people. So whatever law they know that may not be okay. For instance, let's even look at how they passed law, the budget. You see, anytime the budget proceeding is on, almost all of them will be present at the house. Everyone, because they know something is going to come out from there, and they know that at least constituent allowance and everything or whatever that they collect. I think some of them collected more than 500 million.
Wow.
Even to up to 4 billion for constituent projects. So it's something that is not on the constitution. So if it has to deal with them, if it is in their own interest, then all of them will be in the house. But ordinarily, let's say they want to make law regarding the education sector of this country. What would they do? You just see about 5 or 10 of them. And the majority of them will be absent. So that is why many people are even calling for the fact that rather than the National Assembly being a full-time job, let it be a pattern. If you have your own job,
Mm-hmm.
then all this, voting for money and all that will not be there at all times.
All right.
So, my dear, I'm sorry to disappoint you. It is the politicians that are going to make that law, and I am sure I can bet you they will not make that type of law.
Wow. Now, away from that particular story, let me take you to the front page of The Guardian. We have this one here. OBJ, IBB, absent as Buhari, Jonathan and ex-leaders pass a vote of confidence in Tinubu. I've heard you lambaste this particular administration a number of times, but we have past leaders here, vote of confidence. They're saying, give it to this administration. And then there's something else Sarah said earlier on when she read out some other headline on another national daily. These leaders were saying, if you are not happy with what this administration is doing in 2027, vote them out. What's your take on this?
I think they are trying to pass wool over our face to cover our faces too.
How do you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Apart from the fact that the meeting that took place yesterday was not, and I remain to be quoted, it was not the Council of State meeting. It was
Really?
just a glorified Federal Executive Council meeting.
Wow.
Because according to the Constitution, the structure or the members, the National Council of State consists of Mr. President as chairman, Vice President as the Vice Chairman, all past head of state, underlined, all past head of state, all past CJN, Chief Justices of Nigeria, all past and Senate President and Speaker of the National Assembly, House of Representatives, governors, and the Attorney General. So and after their meeting, it is not a minister that talks, it is one of them. Because a minister, even if they are not part of that meeting, and they were there yesterday, probably they might have been invited to brief them or whatever. But who spoke on their behalf, even after the meeting? A mere minister. I think this administration, tries to just make Nigeria to believe. So it's like just a make-believe of what ought to have happened. To me, what happened yesterday was just a child's play, or maybe we allow that carry. And whatever they might have even resulted, or the consequence of their meeting, to me is nothing, because it's unconstitutional. And in fact, it should not be reckoned with. Whatever decision they took in that place does not represent the interest of the Council of State. And the reason for the Council of State is defined under the Constitution. Advise government on policies of government, not to make vote of thanks or vote of whatever you call it. It is just laughable, and to me, I don't see anything in that. I'm sorry, but that is my position.
Right. Okay, let me take you up on this conversation that has been going on for a while now, talking about the salaries of our senators and those at the helm of affairs. I recall that former President Olusegun Obasanjo, over the weekend into Monday, we got a headline about how he was talking about how they fix their salaries, which shouldn't be the case. And they've come out to debunk this. And just yesterday, the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Committee came out to state that each senator in the upper chamber receives a total of 1.06 million naira in salaries and allowances, as against the over 13 million naira that was put out there. In the course of a very long time, we've seen certain breakdown of the salaries that each senator takes home per month, which includes housing, entertainment, hardship allowance, renovations and other things, to mention a few. But now they're coming out to debunk this, saying they take just 1 million naira. Do you think this is coming on the benchmark of the calls for the government to cut down the cost of governance, or this is actually how the case is, considering this coming from the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation Committee?
Again, I think they made that man to dance naked in the street. The Revenue Allocation Fiscal Commission person. They have just allowed him to dance naked in the street. And unfortunately, that is another person's husband or another person's father. Everybody is not news in Nigeria that no senator, in fact, no local government official earn 1 point something million per month. per month. So is it 1 point something million they are fighting for that they can kill for? Is it? I think what the man said was what they were supposed to earn. In fact, severally, Shehu Sonny, former senator,
Yeah.
even told us how much he earns when he was there, over 13 million then. So it's not news. And in fact, if that one cannot be cross-checked or whatever because of the shenanigans around them, what of the outgoing laws that were made for outgoing governors that have to earn of the salary of a sitting government, of a sitting governor, 300% of allowance for this, medicals for their family, three or six cars every 3 years, houses in 2 places in Nigeria. Where are the ramparts when they were doing all this? So, to be sincere, my ladies, I think this man was just made. He was made, or maybe he allowed himself to be made to dance naked in the street. He's not saying the truth. Of course, what he's saying is what is the law supposed to be, but that is not what the law is. Everybody knows, at least to some extent, how much a senator earns in Nigeria, and none of them goes home less than 30 million naira. They know this. And that is why many of them, majority of them, may want to die there. So, if anything, do you think that it's because of 1 point something that somebody will go? Please.
Let me quickly come in here. And then dancing naked in the street, that's an interesting visual I don't want to concentrate on right now. But let me quickly take you to this story on the front page of the Daily Trust. It would be remiss of us to have this conversation with you without running this by you. President Tinubu approves a 300% pay rise for judicial officers. He got 1 minute to react to this. Does this excite you in any way?
To some extent, yes.
Okay.
To some extent, because the judiciary cannot really be remunerated well. Before now, I think the CJN goes on with less than 1 million naira per month. The CJN, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, but now it's going to be going home with about 5 million or there. It's a good thing. At least maybe if they are well remunerated now. You know, according to statistics, this last year, the judiciary overtook the police in the statistics of most corrupt government institution in Nigeria. The police was #1 first. Now I think it has been overtaken by the judiciary, and that maybe many people will say it's lack of the remuneration was very poor. So if you want to get service, you should be able to. If you want to get justice, you should be able to remunerate the person that's going to give that judgment well, so that it won't be tempted by litigants even to just write whatever they want because those ones are able to pay. This one is very gladdening, and I thank President and this administration for doing this. Really, you say I lambast them all the time, but where they do well, I commend them too. Also for this, I commend them.
All right, this is a safe place to land. Yeah, thank you so much, Folusho Olapo, for your always contributing, you know, in a very insightful manner. Folusho Olapo is a legal practitioner. He's also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me once again. Good morning this morning.
Good morning. All right.
Right.